thing that I read by most of the books and the last thing that I read on September, some people told me that I was Jesus. I'm kind of getting so much better at saying like this was not a good book, I didn't enjoy it. I tried to be like really objective and be like, oh, I didn't like this because of that, but if you like this kind of thing, I'm just like, it was not a good book, I didn't enjoy it, skip it. That's it. Hello my beautiful book dragons, welcome back to my channel. I'm Aline from Pick Me Puffreads, and today I want to talk about the very embarrassing couple of months that I had of reading. I ended up having 8 books in total, 4 and 4, but 3 of them were DNF, so let's just get into it, right? This is kind of really cringy for me and embarrassing because I tried to read a ton of books, but at the same time I also just put out a video saying like, hey, you know, how many books should you read? I need to pace myself, I need to be like more mindful of what I'm reading, and I'm here like, I'm so embarrassed because I only read 4 books, you know? So it's like, it's so hard, especially here on BookTube, to put yourself out here and be like, I only read like 1 book a week. Like, oh, that's just awful, isn't it? So we're gonna push through it, and we're gonna talk about the very small amount of books that I read this couple of months. So in September, awful month, I read The Carnivore Carnival, book the 9th. A series of important events by Lemony Snicket. If you've been here, you know I've been buddy reading this with Rachel from Let Me in the Library. We're slowly but surely making our way through this series, and we're loving it. I'm loving it. I'm living for this. I am so excited about all of the characters, a lot of the stuff that's happening. I want to know more about BFD, the secret organization. Of course, we're following this awful story of these 3 guys that just become orphans in like a second, and then they're being passed guardian, and they're all awful, and from a really big scheme that just wants to take a fortune from the really bad guy Count Olaf. So excited to continue with these. I've been really enjoying them, and this one was actually one of the best ones in my opinion from the series. I just enjoyed a lot, so that says something. Next thing that I read was The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. I was so excited to read this. Is one of the fathers of science fiction. I love science fiction, and I enjoyed reading H.G. Wells so much. I was so shocked at how amazing this was for being, you know, a classic, and for it being so, you know, when we didn't have a lot of technology, for him to like think of all of this stuff and aliens coming to Earth and have a really good notion of science and physics and how things would work, and just like the whole plot twist of how this war goes, which when I was reading this I was like, this is not even a war, this is like the massacre of human beings. So the way that he turns that around, I think it's amazing and super imaginative, so I really enjoyed this one. The other 2 books that I read that I DNF'd actually was The Dip. I didn't like it. Through most of the book I was just like, what in the world is even happening? I was not understanding what the heck was going on. I think the concept was really cool, and the idea was like supposed to really make you think and have all of this depth in it, but it didn't really make it for me. I was just like not understanding, and most of the time I was just like, what? It had just a lot of WTF moments for me throughout the whole story, and I just had to DNF it, and I was so close to finally finishing this, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And the last thing that I read for the month of September was Down Among the Sticks and Bones, I believe is the 2nd book in the Wayward Children whole series thingy. I really didn't like this one, and I was so let down because I loved the first book so much. I was so attached to the main character Nancy, and then suddenly we're following, I feel like, the least interesting characters from the first book and their adventure before that, which you already know what the outcome of that is going to be, so it's not really exciting or a secret, like you already know what's going to happen. Some people told me that I was really going to enjoy the 3rd book, so I'm gonna continue on with that. And that's it. That was my September month. I'm kind of getting so much better at saying like, this was not a good book, I didn't enjoy it. I tried to be like really objective and be like, oh, I didn't like this because of that, but if you like this kind of thing, I'm just like, it was not a good book, I didn't enjoy it, skip it. That's it. So I guess it's good that I'm getting a little bit better at that. At least. The next books that I read, 2 were really good. Finders Keepers by Stephen King, the second book in the Bill Hutch trilogy. This is a thriller, amazing book. I love Stephen King, you guys know, and this was such an amazing read for me. I didn't know that I was going to enjoy this as much as I did, and I cannot wait to go into the third book. We're still following Bill Hutch and his team, and in this one we have a little kid whose family is in need, and he finds in the woods a huge box filled with cash and some notebooks from an author that was killed. And from there we have obviously the killer, we have Bill Hutch and his team, we have the kid and the family, and everything just goes crazy in this story till you are in the last pages of the book just like wanting to know what's going to happen. This is definitely a page turner and I really enjoyed it. I think this is the best book that I've read these past 2 months, sadly. Next thing, you know, if you've been here for a little while, Mr. Become by Clive Barker. Super gory, really small, and like half of it is the main character who's a demon trying to convince you to burn the book. I wish we had a little bit more of the story of this demon coming to Earth and the adventure instead of him just like trying to intimidate. It was okay, I liked it, interesting, intriguing. Just not it for me, like it was missing something. If I just tried something else from him, maybe I would like it a little bit more. I DNF'd 12 Cuentos Peregrinos by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I finally found out that I don't like it. I tried to read 100 Years of Solitude ages and ages ago, and I found it so boring, so uninteresting. I DNF'd it, and I'm glad to tell you I DNF'd this after reading one of the short stories as well, and I can tell you this is not for me. I don't like his writing style. Sorry, I was not enjoying it. I was just not enjoying it. And the other book that I ended up DNFing was the second book in the Queen of Hearts trilogy, Blood of Wonderland, I believe. I hated it. It was going nowhere. I was listening and nothing, literally nothing was happening. I didn't like it. I had to push through the first book. I was really hoping that this second book was going to bring it up and bring like really the Queen of Hearts into the world, but no, it was just so dull. I hate to say it, but it was such a YA book to read, you know, like it had all of the awful things of YA instead of having all of the good things of YA, and it was just boring. It was just plain boring and nothing was happening. So sadly I just DNF'd that, and I'm not interested in continue any of these books anymore. So yeah, a couple of rough months for me in the reading department, not enjoying a lot of the books, DNFing. I don't normally DNF that many books, but I was like really DNFing a ton these couple of months. So I hope that you had better reading months in your life than I did, and I'm just like trying to pick it back up in November, and hopefully that will work. So yeah, thank you so much for watching Beautiful Book Dragons. Please make sure like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you, my beautiful book dragons, in my next video. Bye. I cannot speak today, apparently. Is it